the way I would.
What's going on, guys? Greg for here, and in this video we're going to be talking about Chris Paul and the fact that he's more likely to play with the Oklahoma City Thunder. As I had stated before, I felt like they were going to have to keep him due to the fact that the lack of interest that was definitely going to go out for Chris Paul, and of course the size of his contract going into the consideration. Now, Chris Paul's main destination that he would want to end up with would be the Miami Heat. Now, the Miami Heat would be interested in Chris Paul as a second option. Now, as I mentioned before in a previous video, they do want to go for Bradley Beal in that situation. But whenever we do look at Chris Paul and his statistics as far as how he played last year, he did shoot a career low in points per game at 15.6 points per game, 8 assists per game, still a solid defender with 2 steals per game. The problem, of course, coming in right here, which you really don't want to see from a point guard that's known to be injured, with a huge injury history, shooting a very low percentage from the field as well, shooting only 42%, and still a decent three-point shooter with 35, almost 36% from the three-point line. So from this is something that's majorly concerning to somebody in this majority of ways. Now, if it was just the standard of him playing, it would be very simple to move a player like Chris Paul, as he is a veteran player. He is well respected by many people. He does do good with younger players, although superstars, it seems that he does clash together. Now, the problem is, of course, the contract that's coming up with his 3 years left, getting paid up to even $44 million in that last year in the 21-22 season. Now, this is what's making it very difficult for the Oklahoma City Thunder to move this contract. And like I mentioned, there are not many teams that are going to be able to or would be willing to have a player that's going to be on the decline for that long. And what it seems like is the fact that Miami would be that really the only team, unless somebody like the Detroit Pistons are choosing to rebuild and go out and go off with trades. Now, if not, it's going to look like Miami would be that option. But as I mentioned, Bradley Beal is that main piece. Now, another problem, of course, with that is the fact that the Wizards are not looking to trade Bradley Beal as of this moment. Now, when it comes down to a trade request that may be happening, it may very much be coming up soon, though, as Bradley Beal has an option to have an extension, and that is going to be a huge determiner of whether or not the Wizards will trade Bradley Beal or not. And I have a very high belief that he will not be signing an extension with the Washington Wizards in the next upcoming few days when that comes around. So I'm going to be seeing the fact that Miami believes that they're going to be able to get Bradley Beal to pair with Jimmy Butler, and Chris Paul is really just that second option right now. And of course, as I mentioned, there's lots of problems with what's going to happen here. Now, this is really why I'm making this video. I believe the fact that Chris Paul may be stuck in Oklahoma City. Now, he's of course had clashes with players such as James Harden, Blake Griffin, at his two main teams that he's had really championship sort of expectations put upon them. And with that being one of the problems that definitely is highlighted between both of those players, and of course the expectations that were there, you have to imagine the fact that with that lack of success as well, it's not looking very well for a player like Chris Paul to be able to get traded. As I mentioned, not many teams that would be interested as well. So like I said, it would have to be very much a wild card, especially if the Miami Heat can be able to get somebody like Bradley Beal in the next upcoming feud during the offseason. Now, of course, they're going to be waiting until December to see. That is once the players that have been signing their new deals during this offseason can actually be traded as well and be used into assets as well. So this could be also the smaller players to try to move around the money in order to get a player like Chris Paul. So that could open up some ideas as far as more teams in the opening. But for right now, there's no team that really seems to be interested on this. Now, of course, one of the things that the Thunder are going to try to do to get rid of Chris Paul is going to be put some of those first-round picks in there. And many people may be thinking, why would you put up those first-round picks? Now, it's very simple. They ended up getting over 6 additional first-round picks, including with their own draft picks throughout the 2020 season that's going to be coming up to the 2026 season, as far as with the trades that they have made. Now, of course, another option, could be a buyout. Very unlikely with a contract that big. I don't see a player, especially considering the fact Oklahoma City known for not really their owner wanting to pay anything as far as luxury tax, things like that. So I don't see them doing something like that. Now, as far as what I would expect from something like this, it's going to look like he's going to be playing Oklahoma City, which is actually where he started his NBA career, if you, of course, did not know. Now, he was drafted by the New Orleans Pelicans, but at that time, of course, Katrina, a very bad hurricane that obviously devastated the entire city, forced them to play in a temporary arena at the time, being in Oklahoma City. So that is where he did start his career. So it looks like he will have to play a little bit, at least for a while there. But I believe the fact that it may go even longer than that. But guys, tell me what your guys' thoughts on that. Do you think the fact that Chris Paul will be traded this season? And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you guys leave a like and subscribe to become part of the Greek Army today. And as always, this is Sparta.